Jimin whispered something to Jungkook on stage. His smile vanished immediately. Don't turn around, he's in the crowd. The lights burned gold above them, blinding in their intensity, and the roar of tens of thousands of fans was deafening. Yet, for Jungkook, the world froze the second those words left Jimin's lips, softly, barely audible, but sharp enough to slice through the melody still echoing through the stadium. He blinked once, his smile faltered, then vanished completely. In that moment, the stage was no longer a sanctuary but a spotlighted cage. Every camera, every eye, captured the exact second something inside Jungkook broke. The choreography continued without him for half a beat before he caught up, but the damage was done. The spell of his joyful facade shattered. Jimin didn't look at him again during the remainder of the performance. His movements remained flawless, even graceful, but there was a stiffness in his limbs, a tension behind his gaze. They both felt it, the cold weight of whatever had returned. Backstage, the silence between them was louder than the chants echoing from the crowd, still chanting their names. You saw him, Jungkook finally asked, voice hoarse with something between disbelief and dread. Jimin nodded once. Row F left aisle, hoodie, same scar. Jungkook turned away, pressing the heels of his hands against his eyes, his chest heaving. It had been 5 years. 5 years since the fire. 5 years since the blood. 5 years since they'd sworn never to speak of it again. They weren't supposed to be followed. The deal was supposed to be final. Do the others know? No, and they can't, not yet. Jungkook let out a breathless laugh, hollow and shaking. This can't be happening, not here, not now. It is, Jimin replied quietly, and it's only starting. The door swung open. Taehyung poked his head in, cheerful and oblivious. Haeyoung's quick group photo, the fans are going insane out there. Neither moved. You okay? Taehyung asked, eyes narrowing slightly. Jimin nodded smoothly, just tired. They followed him out, their faces reset into practiced masks, but a tremor lingered beneath the surface. Every flash of light from the cameras felt like a sniper's scope. Every cheer sounded like a warning howl. Later that night, Jungkook sat alone in the hotel bathroom, staring at the image burned into his memory. Row F, left aisle, hoodie, scar. The same man from 5 years ago. The man they thought was dead. He dug through his bag, pulling out an old, locked phone. A relic from before the fame, before the debut, before the secret. His thumb hovered over the power button. He'd sworn never to turn it back on. But something told him the past wasn't done with them. And it had come to collect. The night after the concert was supposed to be celebratory. Seoul's skyline sparkled beyond the glass-paneled suite where the group had gathered, champagne uncorked, laughter echoing through the room. Jungkook sat on the balcony, legs pulled to his chest, a cigarette smoldering between his fingers, though he didn't smoke anymore. His hands trembled as they always did when the past began bleeding into the present. Jimin leaned against the sliding door, arms crossed, eyes heavy with something unspoken. He didn't need to say it, Jungkook already knew. The man with the scar hadn't just been watching. He had followed them to the after-party. He was in the lobby an hour ago. He knows we're together again, Jimin muttered without looking. He wants us to remember. Jungkook exhaled smoke and pain in one breath. I never forgot. Inside, Taehyung danced with Hoseok, laughter erupting between them like fireworks. Namjoon sipped wine while trying to keep Jin from live-streaming a drunk karaoke session. The room was full of life, but outside, death circled quietly. Jimin stepped closer. We have to tell them. No, Jungkook snapped, sharper than intended. He turned, eyes blazing. You know what happens if we do. You want to drag them back into that hell. You think they're safe if we do. There was a silence then, thick, stretching between them like the chasm of years they never dared to cross. The quiet broke with a bang when the suite's door slammed open. Taehyung stood frozen in the entryway, his phone in hand, face pale as bone. You guys need to see this, he said, voice brittle. They gathered around as he played the video. It was a fan-captured moment from the concert earlier that night. The camera panned from the stage to the crowd, zooming into someone standing utterly still in the middle of chaos. His face wasn't clear, but the scar, running from his temple to jawline like a branding mark, was unmistakable. He was staring not at the stage, but directly at the camera, as if he knew exactly what he was doing. "He's not just following you," Taehyung said slowly. "He wants to be seen." Jungkook's stomach turned. "Who is he?" Namjoon asked, eyes narrowing. Jungkook opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Jimin. "We met him before the debut," Jimin began. "Before we were even trainees, it was complicated." Namjoon frowned. "That's vague as hell." "It's not something we ever wanted to talk about again," Jungkook said quietly. "You're going to have to," Jin said, seriousness cutting through the alcohol fog. "Because if this guy's dangerous and he's after any of us—" "He's not after you," Jungkook interrupted, standing. "He's after me and Jimin." Jimin ran a hand through his hair, lips tight. "Before BTS, we were in something. Underground, a group, not music." "What kind of group?" Hoseok asked, voice low. Jimin hesitated. "Let's just say we weren't exactly innocent." "You were kids." "We were killers," Jungkook said flatly. The room turned cold. Jin scoffed, half laughing. "That's not funny, Kook." "I'm not joking." The silence that followed was pure suffocation. Jimin stepped in. "We didn't choose it, we were pulled in, blackmailed, trained, used, and when it was over, we thought we were free. We disappeared, started new lives, became something else. But some ghosts don't stay buried." Namjoon looked like he was trying to calculate 1,000 things at once. "So this man, he was one of you." "He was our handler," Jimin said, "until he betrayed the whole unit." "He murdered someone," Jungkook added. "Someone we cared about." "And now he's back," Hoseok asked, eyebrows furrowed. "Why?" Jungkook met his gaze. "Because we're famous. Because he knows exposure will destroy everything we built. He doesn't want money, he wants collapse." "And revenge," Jimin said, "for what we did to him." Outside, a siren wailed faintly in the distance. Inside, the room trembled with secrets. Jin finally broke the tension. "Okay, so what's the plan?" "We find him first," Jimin said. "Before he goes public, before he ruins us, before he hurts any of you." Taehyung spoke slowly. "And if we do?" Jungkook turned back toward the balcony. "Then everything burns." Later that night, Jungkook lay in bed, unable to sleep. He stared at the ceiling as fragments of old memories clawed their way out, blood on tile floors, screams in an empty warehouse, the cold steel of a knife pressed against his throat. He hadn't been Jeon Jungkook that day. He had been something else, someone else. The next morning, they received a package at their agency, unmarked, delivered by hand. Inside was a single photograph, the 7 of them on stage the night before, and across Jungkook's face, a red X drawn in ink. There was no note. There didn't need to be. The morning sun did nothing to warm the tension in the rehearsal room. Silence sat like smoke in the corners, thick and choking. The photograph with the red X now lay face down on the table in front of them. The glossy surface still smelled of chemicals, like it had just come from a darkroom. Someone had taken this picture from the wings of the stage. Someone had been close, too close. Jungkook stood in the center of the room, jaw clenched, sweat breaking down the back of his neck, though they hadn't even started practice. His fists were tight at his sides. He couldn't stop shaking. "He wants a reaction," Namjoon said finally. "That's what this is, a game, psychological warfare." "No," Jungkook muttered. "It's a warning." Taehyung paced near the wall, sunglasses on despite being indoors. "So what the hell do we do? Pretend it didn't happen, rehearse, smile, dance like puppets while some psycho stalks us." Jimin, sitting with elbows on his knees, stared at the floor. "He's not a psycho," he said quietly. "He's deliberate, he's surgical. He doesn't leave traces unless he wants them found." "Great," Jin snapped. "So we're not dealing with a maniac, we're dealing with a ghost with a grudge." "He's not a ghost," Jungkook whispered almost to himself. "He's a hunter, and I'm his prey." Silence again. Then Hoseok threw his water bottle against the wall. It hit with a sharp crack. No, screw this. We're not just going to sit here and wait for him to make the next move. And what do you suggest? Jimin asked sharply. Go public. No, Jungkook said immediately. You don't get it. If this gets out, if the fans, the press, the company finds out about our past, then they find out, Hoseok cut in. Better than one of us ending up dead. No, Jungkook said again louder. You don't know what we did. Then tell us, Taehyung challenged, stopping mid-stride. Because we've been trying to understand since last night, and all we've got are fragments and shadows. Jungkook's mouth opened, then closed. The words sat heavy on his tongue like lead. Jimin stood slowly. You really want to know? Everyone turned. We were 17, broke, angry, hungry, and someone noticed. A man in a black suit. Said he worked for a special program that recruited gifted youth. No names, no paperwork, just a number. That number became our identity. Jungkook was 14. I was 11. Jungkook's face was pale, haunted. Jimin continued. It started with training, running, combat, tactics, then surveillance, then infiltration, then elimination. They used us like tools, blades with pretty faces. And the man with the scar, Namjoon asked. He was our handler, code name, Wraith. He trained us, punished us, manipulated us. He said we were his perfect weapons. But one mission went wrong. He made us kill someone innocent. A boy, just a child. It broke Jungkook. Jungkook flinched visibly. Jimin looked at him, then down. We tried to run, they tried to silence us, but we turned on Wraith first. We trapped him, left him to die in a burning house. He didn't die, Taehyung said slowly. Clearly. No, he didn't. Namjoon leaned against the mirror, thinking hard. If he wants revenge, he'll try to isolate you, take out your support system, make you vulnerable. He already has, Jungkook muttered. I haven't slept in 3 days. I'm seeing things. I keep hearing his voice in crowds. That's not paranoia, Jimin said quietly. That's trauma and probably surveillance. Just then, Yoongi walked in. He hadn't been there that morning, had said he needed sleep. He looked calm, maybe too calm. What's going on? He asked, looking at the tense circle of faces. Jungkook looked up. Did you get something? Yoongi pulled out a flash drive from his pocket. Security feed from the hotel last night. I have a friend in the network. Had to bribe him with studio time. He walked over and plugged it into the laptop. The room leaned in as the grainy footage flickered onto the screen. The lobby, 2:13 a.m. A man in a hoodie walked in, head down. Pause, frame by frame. There it was, the scar, clear as day, a line like cracked marble. He didn't look at the reception, he didn't glance around. He walked straight to the elevator, pressed the button, waited. But he didn't go in. He looked up directly into the camera and smiled. Then he turned and walked out. He wanted to be seen, Jimin muttered. He's baiting us. Why? Jin asked. Because he's not afraid anymore, Jungkook said. He knows the system won't protect us. But we have power now, Taehyung said. Money, influence, security. Jungkook laughed bitterly. None of that matters to a man who's already dead inside. Yoongi sat down. We need to hit first. You mean find him? Hoseok asked. Yoongi nodded. And end this. Jimin looked around at all of them. Are you sure you want to be part of this? No, Namjoon said, but we're already in it. The door to the rehearsal room opened again. This time, it was their manager. There's a press emergency, he said, looking panicked. You're all trending worldwide. Someone just leaked a video. What video? Jungkook asked, dread already blooming in his gut. The manager turned the laptop toward them. It was grainy, shaky, filmed through a cracked window. Jungkook and Jimin, in an alley, years ago. Wearing masks, standing over a man. A gun in Jungkook's hand. The video cut out just before the shot. Jungkook stepped back, breath leaving his lungs. They've started, Jimin said. And this time, no one argued. The silence after the video leaked wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. The kind that rang in your ears and sat in your throat like a scream waiting to break. Social media was a wildfire. The hashtags shifted from adoration to confusion to full-blown hysteria in a matter of hours. Jungkook murderer. Jimin cover-up. BTS secrets. The agency's PR team had gone into lockdown, pulling down statements, fabricating narratives, issuing cease and desist threats to media outlets already dissecting the footage frame by frame. But it wasn't enough. The world had seen the gun. And worse, had seen the hesitation in Jungkook's eyes. The line between idol and killer had blurred, and now blood stained every syllable of his name. The group was sequestered in a high-rise building downtown, floors above the chaos. Inside the conference room, no one sat. The walls were too close, the air too thick. Jungkook stood with both hands on the window ledge, looking down at the swarm of reporters and protesters below. His reflection in the glass looked like a stranger. Pale, empty, like he'd already vanished and left a shell behind. "They're not going to believe anything we say," Hosok muttered, packing. "You can feel it, like they've been waiting for us to fall." "That video didn't come out of nowhere," Namjoon said. "It was timed, perfectly. Someone's orchestrating this." Jimin hadn't moved from the corner since they arrived. His fingers were clenched into his jacket, knuckles white. "It's him, Wraith. He's been documenting us, waiting. He knew the moment would come when the world would listen." "Where did the footage even come from?" Taehyung asked. "Who was filming? Why now?" "Because we got close to the truth," Yoongi said calmly. Too calmly. "He knew we were going to look for him, so he struck first." The door burst open. The agency's CEO stormed in, flanked by security and lawyers. His face was carved from stone and fury. "What the fuck is going on?" No one answered. He threw a stack of printed images on the table, stills from the video. "Do you understand the magnitude of what's happening right now? Jungkook, you're facing possible criminal investigation. International coverage is labeling this a scandal tied to underground syndicates. I've got government officials calling me asking if you're part of some mercenary group." "We were children," Jungkook said hoarsely. "Used, trained, controlled." The CEO stepped forward. "Do you think anyone gives a shit about that now? You had a gun in your hand, on camera." Jimin stood up, slow and deliberate. "Then let them see everything, the truth." The room turned. "What are you saying?" Namjoon asked. "I'm saying we stop hiding. We release our version, the full story. We name Wraith. We expose the program. We burn it down before it swallows us whole." "That's suicide," the CEO snapped. "Do you have any idea what you're proposing? You'll drag the entire industry into this. Politicians, corporations, the media, they will destroy you." "We're already being destroyed," Jungkook said. "This just lets us take the wheel." Yoongi rubbed his temple. "You'll need evidence, not just a sob story. Real names, dates, proof." "I have it," Jimin said quietly. Everyone froze. "You what?" Hosok said. Jimin met their eyes one by one. "I kept a journal, photos, logs. I backed them up in an encrypted drive, in case something like this happened. In case I ever needed to remember who we were, what we survived." "Why didn't you say anything?" Jungkook asked, voice laced with betrayal. "Because I wanted us to forget," Jimin said, barely above a whisper. "But maybe forgetting was the real danger." They looked at each other. 7 men once bound by music, now bound by a secret that threatened to tear the world open. The choice was no longer about fame. It was about survival and redemption. Later that night, the group sat in the dark of their suite, the only light coming from the laptop screen as Jimin plugged in the drive. The first image that loaded was grainy. A room, metal walls. A child barely 13, strapped to a chair, electrodes taped to his temples. Jungkook's breath hitched. "That's me," he said. Click. A video file. The footage showed Wraith speaking to a room full of shadowed faces. His voice was clear. "We don't need them to be stable. We need them to be obedient." Click. A spreadsheet of names, locations, ages, some crossed out in red. "Dead." Jin looked away, jaw tight. "This is war," Namjoon said. The door to the suite opened slowly. A man stepped in wearing a suit, calm as a blade. No one had seen him before. Not even the guards tried to stop him. "I'm here to offer you a deal," he said. Jungkook stood. "Who the hell are you?" The man smiled without warmth. "Let's just say, damage control." "You're one of them," Jimin said. The man nodded once. "If you release that drive, the entire system collapses. That includes your careers, your families, your fans, everything." "So what?" Hosok snapped. "We're supposed to just die in the dark to protect people who tortured us." "No," the man said. "You're supposed to make a trade." He placed a file on the table. Inside, photographs, Wraith, recently taken. His current location circled in red. "You give me the drive," the man said. "I give you Wraith. One time, one shot." Jungkook stared at the file, then at the drive. His past. His future. His revenge. "Why?" Jimin asked. "Why help us?" The man's smile widened, snake-like. "Because even in the darkest systems there are fractures, and some of us, we want out too." Jungkook reached for the file. Yoongi put a hand on his arm. "If we do this, there's no coming back." "There was never a way back," Jungkook said. He took the file. And the war began. The address was in Busan, an abandoned shipyard, rotting quietly on the edge of the sea. Rusted cranes groaned in the salt wind, their hulking silhouettes casting long shadows over the broken concrete. The kind of place where secrets get buried and never resurface. Jungkook hadn't been back to his hometown in years. Not since the incident. Not since the fire. Now he was returning not as a son, not as a star, but as a weapon reignited. They arrived under darkness, in 2 black vans with tinted windows, and a silence so heavy it seemed to mute even the engine hum. The man who had given them the file, no name, just that eerie calm, sat in the front passenger seat. No weapon, no backup, just a smirk like he'd already seen this ending, and it wasn't going to be pretty. "You'll find him in Dock 6, he said, handing Jungkook a keycard. "South entrance. Surveillance is already looped. You have 10 minutes. After that, my people pull out. Whether you make it out or not, that's up to you." Jungkook took the keycard without a word. His jaw was clenched, knuckles white as he gripped it. Namjoon turned to him. "You sure about this?" "No," Jungkook muttered, "but I'm done waiting." Jimin adjusted the strap of his vest, something about his expression too calm to be natural. "I go in first. I know his patterns. You follow on my signal." "This isn't a concert," Jin snapped. "There's no encore if we screw this up." "I'm not planning to screw it up," Jimin said. "But if I don't make it out—" "Don't," Jungkook interrupted. "Don't finish that sentence." Yoongi handed each of them a comm device. "Channel 5. Keep it quiet, keep it short. If anything feels wrong, we pull. No hero shit." The group split up and melted into the shadows of the yard, boots crunching over gravel, breaths fogging in the cold. Overhead, clouds dragged across the moon, swallowing the light in intervals that made every step feel like an invitation to death. Jungkook reached Dock 6 and paused. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, the metallic creak of chains swinging in the sea breeze echoed faintly. Jimin's voice crackled softly in his ear. "He's here. Alone, come in slow." Jungkook pushed the door open. The space was cavernous, steel beams overhead and pools of seawater at his feet. He stepped inside, heart thudding like a war drum. In the center of the dock, beneath a dying halogen light, stood Wraith. He hadn't changed much. His hair had thinned, the scar more jagged than memory allowed. But his eyes, those pitiless, snake-like eyes, were the same, cold, calculating, and fixed directly on Jungkook. "I knew you'd come," Wraith said, voice smooth as silk dipped in poison. "Loyalty, it's always been your weakness." "You're going to pay for what you did," Jungkook said. Wraith chuckled. "Which part? The training, the lies, or the murder you volunteered for?" Jimin stepped into the light behind him, gun raised. "You don't get to twist this anymore." "Don't I?" Wraith turned slowly, hands still at his sides. "You think the world's going to care that I manipulated you? You think they'll weep for your innocence? You two became legends because of me." "You turned us into monsters," Jungkook growled. No, Wraith said, stepping closer. I revealed the monster that was already there. You enjoyed the power. You liked being feared. Don't lie to them. Don't lie to yourself. The silence that followed was razor-thin. Jungkook's voice cracked. I was 13. And you were beautiful, Wraith said. Beautiful and broken, perfect for the program. The sound that came out of Jimin was not human. It was rage incarnate. He lunged forward, gun pressed to Wraith's forehead. Say that again, Jimin hissed. Wraith smirked. Touch a nerve. Jungkook grabbed Jimin's arm, gently but firmly. Not like this. He wants you to snap. He wants a show. Wraith looked between them and laughed softly. You still think this is about revenge? No, my boys, this is about resurrection. You tried to kill me, but I'm still here. Because I'm not the villain, I'm the proof. The world will tear you apart not because of me, but because of the truth. He reached slowly into his coat pocket. Both guns trained instantly on him. But he didn't pull a weapon. He pulled a remote. You release me, he said, voice low, and I erase the rest of the footage. The real footage. You try to kill me again, I live stream everything. The children, the warehouse, your faces, your sins. Jungkook stared at the remote. You're bluffing. Wraith smiled. Jimin lowered his weapon. No, Jungkook said sharply. We don't have a choice, Jimin whispered. He'll come back, Jungkook said. He always comes back. Wraith raised an eyebrow. Tick-tock. The decision felt like a lifetime in a breath. Then, before anyone could speak again, a gunshot rang out. Wraith staggered, looked down. Blood spread across his chest like a blooming flower. Behind him, Yoongi stood in the shadows, gun smoking. No more deals, he said. Wraith dropped to his knees, gasping. You, he croaked, don't win. Jungkook walked over and took the remote from his hand. I don't need to win, I just need you gone. Wraith fell. The silence afterward was complete. Later, back in the van, no one spoke. Jimin stared out the window, tears slipping down his cheek unnoticed. Jungkook held the remote in his lap like it weighed 1,000 pounds. They had stopped a monster. But the world still wanted blood. And morning was coming. The morning came like judgment, too bright, too loud, too fast. News headlines screamed their names, but not in adoration. Photos of Doc 6 flooded the web within hours, blurred images, grainy silhouettes, and one haunting shot of Wraith's lifeless body half submerged in water. Unidentified male found dead in Busan shipyard was plastered across every outlet, but the comments beneath were already flooded with speculation. A scar. A connection. Theories spread like infection. Inside the safe house, no one spoke for a long time. The tension crackled like electricity, every breath brittle and edged with unspoken fear. Yoongi sat in the corner, wiping down the gun. Calm, mechanical, detached. You didn't hesitate, Jungkook said finally, voice low, heavy. I didn't have to, Yoongi replied. He was already a dead man, just needed a push. Namjoon looked from one to the other. That was murder. That was survival, Yoongi snapped. You executed him. You saw what he did to us, what he was going to do again. That doesn't make us any different from him, Namjoon growled. Yoongi stood, tossing the cleaned weapon on the table. We were never different from him. That's what you still don't get. You think music changed us, saved us? No, it just gave us prettier masks. Jimin rubbed his hands over his face, voice cracking. I can still feel his blood on my shoes. Jin was packing. The agency's going to burn us. You understand that, right? Once the police ID the body, connect it to the leak, we're not just talking scandal, we're talking charges. Jail, or worse. Unless we beat them to it, Jungkook said quietly. Everyone turned. What do you mean? Hoseok asked. Jungkook took out the remote. He had dismantled it earlier, found the drive hidden within, encased in plastic. Now he held it up like a ticking bomb. We tell the truth, on our terms, all of it. No, Namjoon said instantly. We already killed one man. You want to kill our entire legacy too. We don't have a legacy if it's built on lies, Jungkook replied. We've lived our whole lives performing a version of ourselves. We owe the world the truth. We owe ourselves that much. And what if they don't forgive us? Jin asked. Jungkook's eyes were glassy, but steady. Then at least we die with our names intact. Jimin leaned forward. I'll say it, on camera, what we went through, what we did. Why, but we protect the others, only those involved. No, Hosok said. You protect all of us or none of us. We're in this together. I'm not dragging you down, Jimin shot back. And I'm not watching you go down alone, Hosok snapped. We're idols, Jin muttered bitterly. Idols don't get redemption arcs, they get crucified. Maybe it's time they see us as humans, Taehyung said softly. Flawed, broken, fighting to be better. Isn't that what this art was always about? Namjoon closed his eyes. You're going to destroy everything we built. Maybe, Jungkook said. Or maybe we finally build something real. Yoongi stepped toward him. Then do it, but do it clean. We edit the footage, we make it airtight. No sensationalism, no victimhood, just facts, honesty. And risk, the CEO barked from the hallway as he burst in unannounced, fury radiating off him in waves. Have you all lost your minds? The group turned. No one looked surprised anymore, just tired. You're not in control anymore, Jimin said. The CEO stared him down. You're about to throw away $1 billion empire. Do you think the board going to just let that happen? We made you. We own your image, your music, your past. You say one word. And we leak the rest, Yoongi said, stepping forward, calm and cutting. We've got data, names, coordinates, government contracts. You try to bury us, we bury everything. There was a pause. A shift in power. The CEO backed off, face dark. Fine, but know this, you'll never be idols again. Jungkook stood. Good. They began planning immediately. Every second counted. The confessional video would go live in 24 hours. Jimin narrated. Jungkook sat beside him. The rest offered short, staggered clips. No theatrics, no tears, just raw, brutal truth. Stories of recruitment, torture, programming. The death of the boy in the alley, the scar on Wraith's face. The fire, the betrayal, the escape, the silence, and the guilt that never left. When the final edit finished, they sat in silence, staring at the screen. Jungkook hit upload. The internet exploded. Millions of views in the first 10 minutes. Then 10 million, then 20. News anchors stumbled over the words. Child operatives. Illegal program. Cover-up. The public split in two, some demanded justice. Others demanded understanding. Fan bases imploded. Rival agencies panicked. Celebrities deleted tweets and distanced themselves. But one thing was undeniable. The truth was out. That night, as the city burned in headlines and hashtags, Jungkook stood on the rooftop. The stars were out, silent, indifferent. Jimin joined him, 2 mugs of tea in hand. Think we made a mistake? He asked. Jungkook didn't answer for a while. Then, no, I think we finally stopped lying. A phone buzzed. Yoongi stepped outside, face grim. We've got company. Police? Jungkook asked. Yoongi shook his head. Worse, someone claiming to be from another program, says Wraith wasn't the only one, says we started something. Jungkook closed his eyes. It was never going to be over. But for the first time in years, they weren't running. The silence that followed Yoongi's warning wasn't like the ones before. This one felt final. No room for denial. No time to pretend. If Wraith wasn't the only one, if there were others, handlers, programs, ghosts in suits, then what they'd done was only the beginning. The truth they exposed had cracked something much larger than them. We knew this was coming, Jimin said, setting his tea down. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed a weariness carved over years. We lit the fuse, now the fire spreads. Jungkook turned to Yoongi. Did they give a name? Project Hades, Yoongi replied. Said they've been active since before us, said they want to talk. Namjoon stepped onto the rooftop, followed by the others. No one needed to be told what was happening. They felt it. The quiet before a war, the ache of transformation, the edge of something unknown. We're not soldiers anymore, Jin said, crossing his arms. We're not pawns, we're not tools. No, Jungkook said. We're witnesses. Jimin looked at him, then at the others. So what do? Meet them. Taehyung gave a half smile, tired but resolute. We don't run from the truth anymore, not even the ugly parts. We face it, Hosok added. Together. Yoongi took a breath. They offered a location, a time, neutral ground. Namjoon looked at each of them. Then we go, but not to fight, not this time. We go to end it. To make sure no more kids end up like us. Jungkook nodded. The meeting took place in a decommissioned government archive, buried beneath Seoul's Ministry of Culture, a cruel irony. Surveillance was impossible here. No phones, no wires, just concrete and steel and memory. The figure that awaited them wore a tailored suit, pristine and featureless. His face was unfamiliar, no scars, no history, but his voice carried the same cold cadence Wraith once did. You've disrupted years of equilibrium, he said. Our operations are compromised, our clients unsettled. We're not here to make peace, Jimin said. We're not here to apologize, Jungkook added. The man studied them, then smiled. Good, because this isn't about forgiveness, it's about evolution. What do you want? Namjoon asked, calm but razor-sharp. The man slid a folder across the table. Inside, documents, names, locations, everything that had been buried. These are the others, the man said. The ones who ran, the ones who still kill. If you want justice, you'll need more than stories. You'll need soldiers. We're not soldiers, Jungkook said again. No, the man replied. But you are symbols now, and symbols are more dangerous than guns. Jimin closed the folder slowly. We're not helping you. I don't want your help. I want your noise. I want your chaos to smoke out the ones who went rogue. Yoongi looked him dead in the eye. If we do this, it's on our terms. Of course, the man said. This isn't an order, it's an invitation. He stood. You set the world on fire. Now you have to decide whether to watch it burn or guide the flames. He left without another word. The group stood in silence, the folder between them. Outside, the city continued. Lights blinked. Sirens sang. Life went on, unaware of the war that had been fought and the one that threatened to rise. Back at the safe house, Jungkook sat in the same spot he had that first night. Alone, staring at the skyline. Jimin joined him, shoulder to shoulder. Do you think people will ever stop seeing us as monsters? Jungkook asked. Jimin was quiet for a long time. I don't think it matters anymore, he said. We know who we are, that's enough. The others gathered around slowly. No cameras, no fans, no spotlight, just 7 souls who had walked through fire and chosen not to become the flames. They didn't make another statement. They didn't post another video. They disappeared. But the world remembered. Not as idols. Not as killers. But as the ones who dared to tell the truth, no matter what it cost. And somewhere in the cracks of a fractured system, because of them, another child never had to pick up a gun. The cycle broke. And in that, finally, there was peace. Not applause. Not forgiveness. But peace. And that was enough.